Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. I'm your host, Chris Coney. Now let's look at the news for today, courtesy of Bitcoin.com. This article is entitled Unocoin. They expand wanting to take Bitcoins to billions. So it's UNO coin. Now Unocoin is a company, but to me, it sounds like another altcoin. But we'll see what Unocoin is as we go through this article. Courtesy to Jamie Redmond for writing this article for us. So let's see what it's got to say. So Indian Bitcoin exchange, Unocoin, recently announced its over-the-counter marketplace. The company, founded in 2013, has over 90,000 customers and a growth rate of 10 to 20% per month. Unocoin says it is continuing its mission to bring cryptocurrency feature services to citizens of India. And that's probably how they've got 90,000 customers and a growth rate of 10 to 20%. Well, there's a lot of potential there, right? 90,000 is a long way off the billion people that live in India. The other reason why this is big news is because India is one of the great places where there's a lot of people who are unbanked. So building out the infrastructure for Bitcoin in India, that's going to be a great thing for Bitcoin and for India. Now, Unocoin has launched 2 feature services, including over-the-counter bulk trading and a new mobile application for its iOS users. Over-the-counter markets are for traders who want to buy large amounts of Bitcoin without showing their transactions on the public order books. The over-the-counter market requires a minimum order of 25 Bitcoins, and the platform will tailor price points to match places like Local Bitcoins, Bitstamp, BTCX India, and ZebPay. And customers can place an order when the price is less than the price indexes by 100 Indian rupees. And then following that request, Unocoin will contact the client to execute the order when it can honor the request. Now, Harish BV, co-founder and CFO, Chief Financial Officer at Unocoin, stated the following, quote, "The over-the-counter feature will come as a relief to traders who wish to trade Bitcoin in larger quantities and weren't able to do so previously due to 1. Buy or sell limits, or 2. Low liquidity in Indian Bitcoin exchanges. And this was a service that more serious Indian Bitcoin traders were lacking until now." Close quote. That's a good point. So I suppose what these guys are doing is if they've got an order for 25 Bitcoin, then they can go out to other exchanges around the world and acquire that Bitcoin from wherever, from Local Bitcoins or from one of the other major exchanges like Bitstamp or someone like that. So they can import Bitcoin into India, if you like, in that way, which is probably why they require a 25 Bitcoin minimum order. Now, Unocoin has also unveiled its mobile application for iOS users. The app supports Touch ID and PIN codes for security and an interactive 24-hour price chart along a timeline. Alongside these features, Indian customers can use the one-touch buy and sell button, making trading quicker. Other features include the platforms like Bitcoin and the INR, I guess that's the Indian rupee wallet. Yeah, so it's Bitcoin against the Indian rupee, and a mobile DTH recharge and a systematic investment plan. Now, what's mobile/DTH? I'll have to figure that one out. Unocoin explains that an Android version will be available shortly. This is good, isn't it? So, bringing Bitcoin trading to India on mobile devices, that means anybody with a mobile device or at least a smartphone could start a career as a Bitcoin trader. And that's going to help to spread the wealth worldwide. It's not then just the territory of people who are on Wall Street or one of the big trading houses that have access. Access is becoming universal. I mean, think about it. If the same identical trade on the markets turns a profit of, say, $1,000, I mean, how far is that going to go for someone like in New York who's trading? on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ or even on the trading floor versus someone in India who places the exact same trade and gets $1,000 profit. And that's going to go a lot further in India. Now, that's slightly relative. It depends where they live and so on. But on average, I'm imagining this trader in India is just a working class person that decides to take up trading, has a knack for it, makes themselves $1,000, right? That's going to make a big significant difference to their life versus the trader on the New York Stock Exchange, whereas they might just buy a suit or something for $1,000. Now, Abhinand Kassetti, co-founder and CMO at Unocoin, says a lot of time and development has gone into the design and user interface. Kassetti explains that the mobile app platform was built from the ground up and offers a seamless user experience for customers. Unocoin is also planning to offer a merchant services point of sale platform in the coming months as well. Now that's big, because that means any merchant in India can then start accepting Bitcoin as payment. And that's another huge move towards spreading the wealth, or allowing people to generate their own wealth at the very least. And generally, the poorer you are, the heavier hit that you feel in things like banking fees, transaction fees, payment fees, all this sort of stuff. Because that little fee, even if it's only a few percentage points, if you're on the poor end of the scale, that money goes a long way, right? Now, Sathvik Vishwanath, co-founder and CEO, explains that Unocoin has more feature services coming to the Indian region, stating that, quote, "In the coming months, we are aiming to launch more exciting services, which will contribute towards building a stronger Bitcoin ecosystem in India. We are on a singular mission here, take Bitcoin to billions," close quote. That's good. Nice, snappy mission statement there. And that could be both literal and metaphorical. It could be billions in dollars, or it could be billions in terms of people. Now, Unocoin's mission in India has focused on expansion and Bitcoin adoption. The firm has grown quite a bit since its inception, and the Indian exchange is backed by organizations such as the Digital Currency Group, Adam Draper's Boost VC, and Bank to the Future. The company, which was also ranked among the top 20 fintech operations by Fintech City, says it plans to continue to bring Bitcoin to the mainstream. And then the article ends by saying, what do you think about Unocoin's latest features such as over-the-counter marketplace and its new mobile application? Let us know in the comments below. And there we go. And there's as yet no comments. But this is good. This is definitely good. A couple of notes to make here. One, so when I see major exchanges like this, Unocoin, succeeding in places like India, that's great. But we need those success stories in as many countries, all countries, as possible, because that then decentralizes the whole exchange infrastructure and spreads the use of Bitcoin worldwide. Good. Now, what's the downside? The downside is that this is a centralized exchange, and we've seen how some of those stories end. So it's a shame. It's a shame that the pioneer in India isn't a decentralized exchange, because you'd have thought that we'd have learned our lesson by now with centralized exchanges. And of course, the average layperson in India who doesn't know anything about Bitcoin isn't going to realize when they start using Unocoin that it's a centralized exchange and open to the risks of centralization. So I don't know how many incidents it's going to take where the Achilles heel of centralized exchanges becomes so obvious that it's just a no-go area from then on. You know what I mean? We could get to that point where the idea of a centralized exchange is like nonsense. You know what I mean? It's kind of like not using cloud email or something. You'd be like, what do you mean? Why don't you put your email in the cloud? There's all these limitations of hosting it on your own computer. That's just one example, but I can imagine getting to a point where it would turn a few heads if you suggested starting a centralized exchange, because people would be educated enough to know that was like alien. It's like, what do you mean? A centralized exchange? That's a stupid idea, right? But we're not quite there yet. So while there is a major drawback, a centralized exchange is better than no exchange. So maybe every territory goes through this. Maybe they start centralized and then go decentralized. I don't know. There's no reason why you couldn't just start decentralized in the first place, especially when there already is decentralized exchanges out there. So yes, indeed. All right, that is going to do it for today's edition of the Cryptoverse with me, Chris Coney. Thank you for listening as always. Please go to cryptoversity.com/podcast and subscribe to the Cryptoverse to receive it every day. And there's also 3 ways to support the Cryptoverse, and I'll be very grateful if you could. The first one is to send us a Bitcoin tip to the address on the podcast page. The second is to check out the Cryptoversity merchandise store, where you can buy yourself a t-shirt or an iPhone case or something similar that's got the Cryptoversity branding on it. That helps us out a lot. And finally, if you want to learn some more structured information on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains, check out the courses section. All right, that's it. That's all for me. So until tomorrow and the next edition of the Cryptoverse, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.